Hey guys. So it's about 7:25 in the evening or so here on Friday, February 19th. Don't even know what that is. I'm not sure if you can hear that on the mic, but there is an awful racket going on outside. For reference, it's about 2:25 a.m. Friday, February 19th, back in the States. The main reason I'm recording this now is because most of my flatmates are out being revelrous parties and stuff like that. And that's still not really my scene, so I figured, hey, I got the extra time. If only you can hear. Maybe you can. I'm not sure. Anyway, I might as well do some recording. Plus, a bunch of stuff has happened, so here's a great time to sit down, record some stuff, and in general, catch up with you guys. So, last thing I posted was on Monday. Well, it's Monday my time, Sunday your time, I think. And a whole bunch of stuff has happened since then. A couple orientations. Went on a really cool excursion today. I'll actually work. I'm hoping this video will work. I realized that the problem I was having is that I was just using my phone as a camera, as a recording camera, and when I import that into Lightworks, which is what I use, it turned it sideways. So my video was always 90 degrees lopsided, and I didn't know how to fix that. I'm using a different camera now, and hopefully we'll fix that problem. We'll see. Anyway, not the point. Anyway, so a bunch of stuff has happened. So one, I had my international student orientation on Monday, and that was actually a really big letdown, to be frank about it. They had about a 5-minute snippet where they rushed through a couple of the key university resources, like, oh, we have a security staff, and oh, there's the international office, and oh, there's this stuff that we could find on the website easily, and they didn't give any contact information or otherwise, and the people left before the presentation was done, so I couldn't even go up afterwards to ask. And during the presentation, it was all about what makes you successful. And while that's a great question to ask a bunch of high schoolers, or maybe like a general orientation, as an international student coming, to a foreign university, I don't care what makes me successful, like in this very broad sense. Okay, it's not like what makes you successful, oh, knowing the land, and here's how to know the land, and all this. They're just like, hey, find your success and go get it, which is a wonderful, lofty goal, but it doesn't help an international student who's like, okay, how do I find my way around campus? What are classes like? Can I talk to teachers? Are there usually hours for professors, or is it like a really big wash? Where are some good bus stops? Where is some like really basic stuff that's not on your website that an orientation should have? And I talked to a ton of other international students about it, and they're like, yeah, that was a really big letdown. So I walked away a little bit disappointed from that. And then the next day I had an engineering orientation, and thankfully though for this one they passed out like a little pamphlet of like the schedule of things that was going to occur. And me and a couple of my other international engineering friends looked at each other and said, this ain't worth it, because it's the same stuff. And I guess the reason I found myself disappointed is just because it was billed as helpful. And like this is one of my first big interactions with the university, a university that's always been so helpful, a university that's consistently been very cool about things. And it was just a letdown to find out that it doesn't work. That their big official stuff isn't that helpful. Oh well, I'll get over it. Or actually, no, I'm not even I'll get over it. I'm already over it. So be it. So what else have I been up to? So I believe it was Tuesday night we had the lock-in, which was a heck of a thing, I'll tell you what. God. So the idea of the lock-in is that all of the blocks, so I think I explained this in the last video, but then I walked away feeling I didn't explain it clearly, so I'll do it again, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself. So I'm in Evatt House, and Evatt House is the very broad blanket term for the dormitory, like here. I would think of an example, but not everyone goes to Iowa State, so that doesn't help at all. But so Evatt House is the very, very broad blanket term, and Evatt House is then broken up into blocks, with the numbers on it. And a block is a building, basically, and each building is then broken up into different little sections. And so lock-in is everyone in a block. So everyone in a building was locked in with a massive thing of punch / jungle juice / basically all you need to know is it's a giant mix of like wine, vodka, and a crap ton of other alcohols and energy drinks for some reason, which is a really bad idea. And the whole idea is we're not allowed to leave until we finish it. Thankfully, we're not held to that because I'm pretty sure someone would have died of alcohol poisoning because it was a massive thing of punch. The whole time I was drinking games, and I did participate for a bit. Again, there's no reason to lie on here, but I stopped at like 8:30 or 9 or something just because it's not worth the hangover the next morning. And like, who am I trying to impress? No one. I'm making sure I'm doing what I want to do. And sure, I'll gladly play games with people for a little bit and all that. But at about 8:30 or 9, I went downstairs just to kind of get out of the crowd, have a breather and all that. And actually a couple other people joined me. And then we ended up walking to someone else's flat, and I talked with this cool guy named Matt. And we talked for like 2.5 hours, and it was really, really, really cool. Just getting to talk with someone, especially because we were both coming down after being slightly drunk, and we had, like, both of us were just constantly downing water the whole thing, and I mean, neither of us woke up with hangovers the next morning, and I actually got to wake up early, and all that kind of stuff. So it was so worth it, to stop drinking overall. The rest of this week is kind of proving that I'm not a big drinker, and definitely not on par with the Aussies. It's not my game still. And I've tried, for the record, a little bit. Definitely not going crazy hard, but I just don't get it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a bad person or whatever. I don't begrudge anyone for doing it, because, I mean, especially because no one's broken property, no one's gotten into legal trouble, nothing really bad has happened. It's just not my game. I like getting up early and going and doing things. Whereas here so far for this first week, it's been, the doing things is, you wake up super late because you partied the night before, you kind of sludge through the day, maybe you watch a movie with some of your friends, you kind of lay on someone's couch complaining about how you're hungover or whatever. And then you start drinking about 5 shortly after or during dinner, and then you keep going all night, get crazy, and then lost it. And you eventually fall asleep at like anywhere between 11 and 4 in the morning. And it's just not my game. I've tried so hard. Well, sort of tried so hard. I tried to fit in without doing all the drinking, and it doesn't work very well because though I'm usually reasonably good at acting, flash drive, for those of you wondering what the hell I'm talking about. Anyway, though I'm usually pretty good at acting, there's a certain point where I just can't. What else have I been up to? Well, okay, well, just to stay in the same vein, another night we went to a place called SJ's, which is the Sydney Junction. It's actually it's a pretty cool bar slash club slash, actually no, just bar slash club, sorry. And I went with some other people. I didn't really want to drink because I had drank the night before or whatever. And everyone else says, oh, go crazy and dance. And I even went on the dance bar, I danced a little bit. But I guess I will say that alcohol is a great social lubricant. But, and also, I'm not super, super close with everyone, so it's like, initially I was with a group of people, and then they kind of like drifted, and I couldn't quite keep up, so I was like, oh, now I'm out here by myself. If I try and force myself back into their group, it will be super awkward, and I know it will be. So I actually ducked out after less than an hour, like 45 minutes. I snuck out of the club, grabbed a train home, came here, and saw a possum. For the record, the possums here, go look it up. Maybe I'll put up a picture, just because I can do that. But the possums here are adorable, and actually getting to see that possum was so worth it because it was just a cute ball of fur, just kind of in a tree, like scared of me. It was really great. And it's funny, that's what I took away from the night, not like going to a club with all my friends or whatever, like hopping on a train and stuff like that. Set up my Australian bank account, so I now have an account with Westpac, which is one of the bigger banks in Australia, and I could set up my account on the Americas, which was very important. So that's good, because now I'll be able to pull out cash, and what surprised me a lot is that I've been using a lot of cash for a lot of things. Paying people, paying for services, just because it's easier than whipping out my credit card for everything. Especially because I have to sign constantly for my credit card. I think my credit card's doing some kind of funky things, like, oh, this is a US credit card, it's okay here, but we're going to have them sign. I'm not sure. So a lot of times it's easier just to pull out cash. Until the coins, it's like I prepared. Because they have $1 and $2 coins, which are pretty cool. But they get old after a while just because it's like, oh my god, I have so many of these $1 and $2 coins. Oh, and this is a 20-cent coin. So this is a 20-cent coin. It's freaking massive. I mean, there's my thumb for comparison. That is the problem with cash. Then you get cash in return, and sometimes that cash stinks. I'm learning the bus systems reasonably well. Google Maps has been helping a lot with that. Just because it's like, okay, where's the bus stop near where I need to be? Okay, cool, what lines go there? All right, what lines go to the university? I mean, I managed to get to not just Westpac, but to the shopping center completely by myself, which I was reasonably happy about. Maybe more proud of it than I should be, but hey, I'll take it, right? God. So I did that. I've done a lot of walking around campus, did some photography. Oh, so while I'm talking, especially if I'm just babbling, I will have some pictures up. So I'll talk more about the campus, and maybe now will be a good time for a couple of pictures I have from on campus. I'll do more in the future, just as I kind of get into a routine. That's one of the problems with this week, by the way, is I don't have a routine, because every day is a little bit different. And I have discovered I really like routine, which makes me feel a little bit like a robot. But I mean, it's just nice because I'm like, okay, I want to change things. Okay, now I just take this chunk out of my routine, put in this chunk, and all right, cool. But I suppose this weird amorphous. Anyway, so I'll walk around campus. Campus is beautiful. It's a national park. It's not a campus. I think I mentioned this before, but I've gotten to walk around even more now, and it is amazing. It's beautiful, and what's really cool is you have Wi-Fi everywhere, which I'm really excited about. Now, there's a lot of walking around, taking pictures, seeing stuff, making sure I understand the lay of the land, and mostly, 75%? Yeah, 60%. Just because I bet if someone named a building, I'd be like, I think I can get there. I could over time, and it wouldn't be painful, but it wouldn't be like the quickest. Oh well. Anyway, so what was really cool is today I went on an indigenous cultural excursion, which it was for international students, either primarily or almost entirely. And we went up north to this place called the Central Coast. Well, not just there, we went to some state parks there, and we got toured by indigenous, aboriginal teachers, if you will, guides, that's what I wanted. And it was so pretty. And we just got to hear, for me it was really cool. Unfortunately, I don't think everyone took it in as much, but it was really, really cool getting to hear from these indigenous aboriginal guides just the story of the aboriginal people, or not the story, parts of their story. You know, what they consider sacred, kind of the core beliefs of a lot of, if not all of the aboriginal people, and how they're connected to the land. And it was this really, really beautiful thing that I think I would butcher if I tried it down, but it's really, really special and really awesome getting to hear someone just be so open about their culture like that, about what they believe, about how things, I guess, work. I mean, obviously, in the modern era, every culture's kind of had to adapt a bit, but it was just really amazing getting to hear about all that and getting to go to these really, really, really beautiful state parks. And I had an interesting, you guys probably heard that. Anyway, I had an interesting, mental little battle earlier today. It's like, okay, on the one hand, I want to take lots of pictures. Pictures help us remember things. And also it's a good way to show other people, hey, this is what it was. But on the other hand, I don't want to live behind my viewfinder. And also Mike, my brother, I'm sure you're listening to this right now. I now get a lot more year pain of being left behind on hiking trips because I was in a crowd of maybe 50, 60, 70 people, and I kept being behind because I wanted to take pictures. So congratulations, Mike, you win. Anyway, I don't want to live behind my viewfinder. And actually I realized that as I was lagging behind, because as great as it is to have, solid, concrete, I guess not evidence, but memories and stuff like, hey, here's a picture of the place I walked, here's a picture of I did this. There's a lot where it's like, no, I just want to experience, I want to be here in this moment, taking it all in, taking this beautiful scenery, this very unique, beautiful environment, somewhere I'd never been before, a type of forest that I've never been in that I wasn't used to. It was really, really, just really gorgeous, and what was cool is that we had afterwards a semi-traditional Aboriginal meal. And I say semi-traditional because it was billed as traditional, and I respect that. However, the salad had actual tomatoes in it for the spinach and stuff. Zeta salad and stuff. That was directly part of the meal. And wait a second, I'm pretty sure tomatoes were native to Australia. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that I had crocodile, which I was very excited about because I love crocodile, and I also love eating crocodile. That stuff is amazing. I had kangaroo for the first time in a really cool, basically a kangaroo meatball, but it was packed with more, instead of regular white breadcrumbs, it was all traditional stuff. And then chicken, but hey, chickens are great too. A whole bunch of other stuff, but it was actually a really, really great meal. Just a really great time in general. Goodness, I could wax about it all day. Well, it was really, really just, I'm trying to put more words other than really cool into it, especially at the end. So during the whole thing, they brought in not just stories of their culture. So I mean, they had creation stories and stuff like that we got to hear about, but they also did greetings and farewells, because there was a specific way you greet and say goodbye to groups. And doing that was really awesome because it was very, well, in a way, it was just very different. It's very different than anything here because it was a song and a dance. I got to play the didgeridoo. One of the fellows played a didgeridoo, and that was amazing. Getting to hear it live and watching go, because you got this 5-foot long hollowed out log that he's playing. It's just this continuous stream of sound. It was beautiful. There was also some traditional dancing, and that was another kind of interesting kind of back and forth I had with myself. Okay, on the one hand, I'd love to record this. This is really something really, really cool that I want to make sure I remember. On the other hand, I not only want to be in this moment, but I want to show respect. Like every time they told one of their stories, I felt like I took off my hat because it's someone sharing something personal about their culture and otherwise. And it's like making sure I felt like I was respecting the culture. I felt like recording these two guys doing this dance would be kind of disrespectful in a way. And I could be completely off base and everyone's like, why don't we have the video, but sorry. I guess that would be my response, sorry. I thought I heard my name, sorry. Anyway, it was beautiful getting to hear and see a group of people sharing their culture so deeply. There should be some pictures. There should be a couple pictures, at least of the guide and stuff like that, not any of the dances and a couple of the carvings, because we got to see some carvings and stuff like that. You can definitely get that on like a link. And if not, I sound crazy. My flatmates are kind of going in and out of the common area. I hope you can hear, otherwise I'll sound like an absolute lunatic. Other stuff, just because I know, a lot has happened, and trying to condense it down into something that's not 3 hours long, because I can talk all day. Saw a goanna, so a large monitor lizard, while we were on the excursion, and that was freaking amazing. Absolutely amazing. Goodness. Oh, so one night, so a great proof of the fact that we can have alcohol drinking. My whole flat, actually my whole block, went out to dinner, and I went to the restaurant. It was a lot of fun. We all sat at a big table and all talking and that, and just in general, I had a very good time with it. I'm really glad I went. And then we got to go. It was pretty cheap too. Really cheap actually. But gosh, it's been a lot of fun overall. There's been some weird moments where I've done a lot of thinking because first off, I'm the oldest one here. I'm not sure if I mentioned that last week, but I'm the oldest one in my block, and so far by talking to people, I'm somewhere in the top 5 oldest people in Evatt House. So of all the buildings, we're the oldest people. And so like my priorities and what I want to do with my life and what I want to do in general is a little bit different than what everyone else wants to do. Or like is thinking about and all that. And my time in this country is different than how everyone else, the natives who live here, they live here. They, I don't know, they live here. But as someone who's visiting, I want to, see all kinds of stuff. I want to do all kinds of things. I want to get up in the morning and go take pictures and all this stuff. And here they don't. I can't blame them at all for it because they live here. Okay, even if you live in paradise, if you live in paradise long enough, you stop being enthralled by every sunrise. And I get that and respect that because if someone came to the States, they'd be like, let's do all the things. I'd be like, man, whatever. To a point, of course. But you get my drift. So it's this very weird kind of dissonance. And I've talked to a few people about like, culture shock. And it's not quite because I'm not shocked by Australian culture. I'm not like, you guys do things differently than America. And that's why I'm having this. It's more like an age shock. Or at the very least, a culture shock related to being amongst a lot of people younger than me who are very much into the party scene. So it's that kind of shock where it's like, they're having a great time. There's nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, I'm glad they're having a good time. It would suck if everyone wasn't enjoying themselves. But the way they have a great time is not the same way I have a great time. And so I find myself kind of at odds at, on the one hand, wanting to fit in. On the other hand, making sure that I'm true to myself. And on the other hand, realizing that, I am not the gold standard on how to have fun. And, all that sort of thing. I'm getting a lot better about it now, especially if I go hang out with the other international students or just take some time for myself or I'm just doing things for me or otherwise. So, so speaking of culture, one kind of cool thing that Australia does that either I missed it in the States or because I don't remember seeing it. So it's really cool. There's this very big, but not vocal drive to have Australian-made goods. So there's not crowds of people saying buy Australian. Instead, if you go into a supermarket or otherwise, you have labels, Australian-made. I hope it's probably gone by now. Shoot, maybe I'll take another picture of it. Maybe I won't. point is that I bought a can of soup, and it was a Campbell soup, so international brand, and it said 100% Australian, so like Australian beef, Australian vegetables, everything else made in Australia. And there's a bunch of stuff like that, Australian beef sausages, Australian this, and which I love, which I think is actually really, really great. I'm not sure if we don't do it in America because it's like, duh, of course it's from America, or otherwise, because we are the breadbasket of the world, or one of the breadbaskets of the world. I don't care how I want to phrase that. So maybe it's not as big a deal back home, just because, yeah, of course it's from America. But I really like how both subtle, because there's not angry, screaming crowds, but yet poignant. The whole Australian made too. Just about everything, every food thing is, made in Australia. If it is, made in Australia, and the stuff that doesn't, all of a sudden, even I'm not that interested in buying, which is hilarious because I'm an American. Like, what do I care, right? Although, to be fair, the Australian made stuff tends to be cheaper, or at the very least on par. I had Australian beef, I bought Australian sausages, beef sausages, and they were so good. Oh my goodness, the beef here was amazing. I don't even know. Maybe it's because it's fresh. Search me, but it was amazing. Got to do some cooking, finally, and that's been really good too. Had so I made a super simple pasta dish. Had labeled Australian beef and labeled Australian diced tomatoes. Australian made pasta, no less, which actually kind of confused me a little bit, but it was spaghetti that had just been made in Australia. So it was like as Aussie onion as I could get. Australian onions. Actually, it was Tasmania onions, which was actually really cool. They're delicious. They're super, super sweet. I loved them. But anyway, it's really cool. It's a really unique part of the culture that I think a lot of people miss out on, because it's like, oh yeah, they have a lot of pride in their country, and getting stuff, staying Australian and all that, which I respect and really actually like. I think it's really cool. Okay, so what do I got going on in the future? So classes start in a couple days. I would check my schedule right now because my laptop's right here, but that would require a lot of fiddling about. I actually had to change a class. One of my classes was at a different campus, and I didn't know that. Now it's on the same campus. Now it's here. And I managed to get some stuff moved around where I don't have quite as many clashing classes. I still do. We'll see what happens. All of the lectures are put online, though. Thank goodness. Thank God. So that'll be okay. I don't have any overlapping what are called tutorials. Tutorials are smaller breakout sessions where you'll often have, where you'll turn in homework or you'll get quizzes and stuff like that. So none of those overlaps. I can go to all of those. I will have to see if maybe I can switch around some of my classes more. I really want to travel. There's actually a group of Americans who are doing a really cool tour, like part of New Zealand and part of the East Coast and stuff like that I'd love to join. But they're like leaving really early and coming back really late, so like they're leaving before our spring break and coming after our spring break. And even if I chop it off, I'll still be able to make it. And then I also have to ask myself if I want to do the same thing as them, because I love hiking and seeing the land and all that. Theirs is very adventurous instead, and what I mean by that is it's a lot less hiking, it's a lot more activities, bungee jumping, seeing the city, like the beaches, and all of that. Whereas I want to be like, hacking it through the bush, wanting to see stuff. And we'll see. I got a couple days to think about and decide. I'll talk to there's a travel agency on campus that I might talk to about, compare theirs to someone else's, to maybe what I kind of want to do. I'll see what I can do. One of the things that they mentioned is that, someone mentioned, because the trip was a little under $2,000 American, which obviously is nothing to that. But one of the things they mentioned, and I know where our bank account's at, and we'll just leave it at that, but one of the things that they mentioned is, money, you can always make more money. You can always make more memories. And given how I've lived my life, and given how awesome this trip would be, or a trip would be, like going up and down and around, I think it'd be really worth it, potentially. But I'll have to see about that. I'm not sure if I can promise an update on that next time, but we'll see. And then, okay, so we got off track a little bit. So next week starts classes. I got 4 classes the whole day. Sorry. Anyway, I got 4 classes. We'll see how that goes. Lectures, tutorials, all the whole bit. I got notebooks. I got some basic stuff. I'll be eventually buying textbooks, which will be an expensive endeavor. I'm not looking forward to in the slightest. Oh well. And then after that, then it's getting into routine, doing stuff, starting running, making sure that I go and explore things. I still haven't been to the beach. I'm really contemplating, everyone here will be mostly passed out, so getting up, seeing one of the earliest buses in the morning that can take me to the beach and just going to the beach and enjoying myself. You know, just walking along the sand, taking pictures, doing sand sculptures. I remember my family went to the Gulf Shores a bunch of years ago back in high school. This would have been 2010, I think, 6 years ago now. And one of the things I had the most fun with was waking up, cracking on, going down to the beach and making sand sculptures. I freaking loved that. And I think I want to do that again, honestly. Just do it. I love the beach. I haven't seen the ocean since I flew in, really. I want to see that again because I love the ocean. Probably because I've lived basically landlocked. I mean, I know Lake Michigan's right there, but I think we can all agree that it doesn't quite count, especially because it was still 45 minutes away from me. Long story short, too long, didn't listen. Next week classes start, and I start figuring out how I want to structure my weeks and my schedules and seeing what I want to do and all that sort of stuff, because I'll have to make sure that I work in lots of time for homework and study and getting an internship while I'm here. That'll also start next week, talking to like the international office and student services and career services and all the other people that I could ever need to talk to, and figure out what I need to do, who I need to talk to, what I need to do to my CV, my resume, to make it all tick and make it all work. Things are still going great. I'm still really happy overall. Occasionally have these little identity crises of, oh man, what am I doing here? Sort of, just because like everyone will be partying and I'll be like, I don't want to party. But they don't last long. I'm still having a great time. I've met some awesome people. My flatmates are still great. People that are all great. And I'm having a blast. So, I think that ends it. It's probably a really long episode. Again, a bunch of stuff has happened. Oh well. Again, my question is send me a message on Facebook. Leave me a comment. It's still weird to ask. It will be weird to ask until I'm done with this vlog. And in general, I see you guys next time. Hopefully that'll be in a couple days. Cheers.